All right, I'm just gonna get started with this. I think it's 2:15, so we're past that already. This is more of a district-led one, so as people have questions or if they have stuff that's probably correct and I don't have right, we can just discuss it at that time or whatnot, and you guys can discuss your things. This is just updating equipment. This is what we did in Stutzman within the last, since 2019, we've updated a lot of equipment, which you'll see ends up trickling down because of what we ended up purchasing. We ended up having to purchase a lot more, but reasons for increasing or updating equipment, safety, worker safety. You know, we had a tree planter and now I've fixed it, but we updated a new one. Both bolts sheared off and the whole thing dropped down to the ground. The shoe and everything was all attached just by 2 bolts through the shoe, and it fell down. Luckily, there's nobody sitting on the equipment or anything for us. So it was something that was hand built, and there's pictures of it later on. Increased production time, less time working on the equipment. So if you constantly have to be repairing the equipment or anything like that, it's just going to waste your time. So like at that time when that planter fell off, I spent the rest of the day fixing that, finding the bolts I needed, everything like that. If updating could also be more productive, easier. So if you have an old fabric machine that doesn't lay the fabric right, and you're always shoveling the edges down, if you update it to something newer where you don't have to and it cuts right into there, it's going to be easier on them. Save money in the long run because you have less time out in the field, stuff like that, fixing equipment, something happens. Could even increase employee morale. So might be something, you're not always stuck in the shop fixing something up. I put this in here as my knowledge. I do not know if it's 100%, as Jody spoke on it a little bit earlier. Like I said, I put that at the top. When we did it, when we were selling our equipment, we posted it for 30 days on BizMan, and then we posted on our Facebook page and our website and did a bid opening. So we, like a sealed bid opening, you have to pick a day and it's actually public. You open the bids, best bid wins. And that's what we did. When purchasing, or you could do this, you could have a licensed seller like an auction. So you could go talk to an auction, just post it on your Facebook page or website that, hey, this stuff is going to be at, in Jamestown, it would be or auction on this date. And as long as it's 30 days, you should be good to go. Am I 100% this is how you have to do it? No, because Jody's not 100% how we have to do it. So we're really not for sure. This is just the way we did it. Put it in your, put it in your guys' work bylaws on how you want to sell the equipment, stuff like that. Purchasing, I put it in later. Purchasing equipment, what we did for the fabric machine, we just went out and kind of bought the Trees R Us one. Reason for that is because there are really no other fabric machine makers unless you're going to have it made to your specs that you want and stuff like that. And then like our pickup, we went and got 3 bids from all of our dealerships in Jamestown. So we went to Toyota, Wilhelms, Ford. Best bid won on purchasing our pickup. And then same with the trailer. I went to Mandan, Bismarck, Jamestown, and then Wahpeton. And then whoever's the cheapest for our trailer is the one we went with too. So starting off, the first thing we did is we wanted to update our old fabric machine right there. Big problem with it is, first off, it wasn't heavy enough. You can add fabric rolls to it and try to make it heavy if you want, if that ground's not worked up good. But these shanks, or the discs that were back here, were actually on like vibra shanks, so they bend. So when you try to sink it down, they do it just flex up anyways. So you weren't really being able to get that soil to cover the fabric, and we shoveled a lot. So we updated to the Trees R Us one in 2021. Like I said, we just got a quote through them and then purchased it that way. We did have another district haul it back because they were also purchasing one and they were going down there to get it. So it saved us on shipping. I think we just gave them a couple $100 all they wanted. And if you actually look at it, there are quite a few more districts that are still purchasing Trees R Us equipment. Like we just purchased the tree planter this year. And we talked to another district that's going down to get the fabric machine and the tree planter. So then they said they would just haul it back for us too. So instead of having to pay somebody to haul it and ship it up here. So Yeah, the old one had problems. Getting into the ground is not perfect. A lot of shoveling edges down, putting staples in. Like we used to put staples in a lot. Like you would walk every 2 steps, probably throw another staple in just to try to keep it down. That wasn't good enough. You left a box of staples at that producer to say, hey, if that starts blowing, staple it down, or throw rocks or tires or whatever you got to throw on that fabric so it doesn't blow up. New one is way heavier. That was 2-inch by 2-inch, and now we're I think at like 6-inch by 4-inch tubing. So with that, we ended up having to upgrade our tractor, and then with that, we had to upgrade our trailer, because we used to just haul this one, the old one over here, on a 16-foot car trailer. With that, we had to buy a new pickup eventually. So when you are updating equipment, if you're going to purchase, you got to think of everything you're going to have to do. Because when I went to go pick this one up from Butler, that's where we had them pick it off. I had a little Deutz Alice tractor, and as soon as I tried to lift it, it just popped a wheelie on the tractor. So I actually had to just skid my front tires back over to, luckily it's only like a hop and a skip around less than a quarter mile to drive it. But then I ended up having to go talk to Titan, and we had to upgrade it to we now plan with a 75C. Farmall is what we have. And I actually leave the loader. I asked for a loader so I can add fabric rolls to it. Just, it adds weight to the front end also. And then I have more fabric rolls as I'm driving around. So yeah, the old ones, we actually had one in the trees also. And we just sold that one with this one. And yeah, we just did the bids. Like I said, highest bidder one. I think we sold them for $1,200 for both of them. So I felt pretty good actually. Updated the trailer. So we actually went to a 36-foot flatbed, 5th wheel with the monster ramps on the back. So it's pretty easy to lift them up and down. Reason I did the 36-foot is it gives me enough room, and I didn't have a picture of it. I know I have a picture somewhere. It gives me enough room to put the fabric on the front of the trailer. So instead of trying to load some back here, which I know Matt Olson learned you shouldn't do because you can blow the back window out when you turn. But so what I did is I got 6 feet, enough room here so I can pull my tractor on. I can put all the fabric rolls right on that tractor right there. And then my plan was to get like a removable shed. Then I can put my trees in there. Right now we just drive 2 pickups around. One has a topper on it, but I want to get a shed that I can put on there. So when I'm doing trees, then they're right on the trailer. And then when I'm done, I can remove that, put the fabric rolls right on the trailer. So that was my goal with why I went with the 36. And I really didn't want to go much bigger. 36 I thought was big enough hauling it around. But so I was doing a lot of measuring. Like I went up to Titan, I was like, how long is it going to be with the bucket and stuff like that. And then yeah, we ended up going to Titan, and we luck out right now. We have we lease our tractors from Titan actually, so they get us a new one every year. It's going to end probably this year because we're going to purchase it and put GPS on that tractor is our goal. So we're actually going to buy one from them and then put auto steer on, as I said there. Like I said, we went from a 16-foot car trailer, which was a bumper pull, which is a lot nicer because you feel safer. You know, once you get over 55, the trailer's not going to start swinging on you. Leave the fabric rolls on and stuff like that. And like I said, I went to Jamestown, Mandan, Bismarck, and Wahpeton, got bids, and then Wahpeton actually built that trailer down there, and they were the lowest bid at the time. So with that, we had to upgrade our pickup. So we actually own 5 pickups currently. We got a 2003 with 180,000 on it, and the motor shop that used to be Tex Weatherly's pickup. And I brought it into the dealership to get something fixed, and they told me they felt bad charging me any money for fixing what's there because of how bad the motor is. That one's going to the auction this year. So, and we're doing an auction because it's not my problem once it sells. I don't have to say anything about it or whatnot. We have a 2007 F-150. This is the one that we haul the trees with right now, currently with the top around the back. That one's got 190,000 on it. We got a 2012 with 120,000. Well, it's 134, I'll tell you. It was still not enough to pull the new tractor. This is a gas. We actually blew the motor up the first year we used it, so we had to replace the motor in that pickup. So that one doesn't get pulled the trailer, so that's why we recently purchased the 2022 F350 or F3 3500 Silverado, and that one pulls the tree equipment. The 250 now pulls just we have 2 no-till drills that John Deere no-tills at, and it pulls those around. And we also have a 1999 Ford Ranger that was used to pull around with the aerator. We have an aerator also, which doesn't really get used anymore, and it's pretty much shot too. The frame is bent on there, so we had a aerator wheel fall off the aerator. It lifted the whole machine up and smashed into the back of the pickup, and then the pickup ended up in a ditch. So yeah, it was luckily there's nobody around or anything like that, and it missed a slough by about 20 yards. So we got pretty lucky, but so that one's going to the auction too. We're gonna sell both of those. It's got like 124. It's a nice little pickup, still runs around fine, stuff like that. Tire wear on it and stuff like that. It's just it wears one side of your tire a little more because of the frame being bent. We went to Stouts Wilhelms Toyota. Wilhelms was the lowest. They actually honored the government rate still, so where Stouts would not, and Toyota would not, because they pretty much were selling their equipment at their cost and didn't need to fast enough. So they were like, no, we're not going to do it. So I think they dropped it down 6,000 is what Wilhelms was when we purchased it. It was $49,000 is what we purchased it for last year. That's all of that. I'm just going to put this on there. So when you do get new equipment, pay attention to what you're doing. This pickup had 1,300 miles on it, and our tech took a turn too sharp and dropped the trailer down in the ditch and smashed the side of the box. So, you know, when you do get this new equipment, take care of it, because board members don't like getting a phone call that their new pickup is wrecked already. And actually, he ended up doing something later. He went over a really sharp like incline, bent the tailgate right here, and then he got stuck and bent the other wheel well in that one. So we pretty much have a whole new box on that one already in 1 year. So if we would have thought about it, we would have done a flatbed actually before doing this. I do like having this because I can still store stuff in here. So I can throw in boxes of staples in here. I can throw in, you know, tools in the back of this pickup, you know, a box in, you got to put a toolbox and stuff like that in. But we did discuss that after we put the order in. We should have probably just went to a flatbed, and then we could have just did the guardrails along the side and stuff like that. But it probably won't have a tailgate on when it's being pulled anymore and stuff like that. But he actually, I think this was right after, and I maybe should have caught it too, but on the hitch there, you can lift it up, and he should have lifted it up higher so that it wasn't so close to the pickup. And he might have, I mean, he still would have smashed the box when we were lucky that the tractor didn't fall off the trailer. I mean, I just can imagine a trailer going down and somehow that tractor staying on. I don't know, but shoot, these guys are like, what are we looking at? Come on, Chad. So no, yep.
Did he have experience?
I mean, he had a CDL, so yeah, should have been good enough. Yeah, to be able to. And technically, looking into it, even this, you should have a CDL pulling a trailer and pickup like this technically. So I personally don't yet, so I'm skirting the law, but yeah, look into that too when you guys are pulling trailers. The weight limit is over, and I would need a CDL to drive that. Yeah. Yeah. But isn't it what's rated on the trailer and the pickup? It's not what everything is weighed on. So it's what's rated for your trailer and what's rated for your pickup. So you have to look at it that way. You might be under, but it's what's meant for the trailer, because you could overload it someday. So yeah, you're going to want to look into that too. So, or just don't. I do not. Yeah. So. Yep. The trailer's got brakes, but we don't have airbags. You can see it squatting in this one here. Yeah. So. Guess I could talk to the board, see if they want to spend some more money, but no, they're pretty good about updating and keeping us up to date. So tree planters. So I put this photo on here. I showed up at our shed one night about 10 o'clock after pulling the drills. And our tree planter was sitting on the trailer like this. And I'm like, how are we planting trees at a 45-degree angle? So I did go adjust the 3 points so it was level. And like I said, we currently have a fabric machine, which is fine. We probably needed one anyways. This, I think, was built probably by Tex back when he started. This is just an iron beam that's across there to get weight for the back and everything like that. Another problem is these tires don't move anymore, so I can't move them in or out. So if those get squished in, it's tearing my trees apart. And then with that bar across the back, sometimes if you get too tall of trees, it'll scratch the trees too. So we did finally decide to update ours. And on this one here, that's a weight 2 added onto the back of that too. So just, so we decided finally to update. The chairs kept breaking. We were using boat chairs after a while, just trying to get them to fit and be good and everything like that. So we are updating this year, so which I'm excited about. Like it was time for it. I think everything we had was original from when they started tree planting. Besides like my little Deutz, I think that's a 87 tractor. But everything else I'm pretty sure was when Tex started planting and everything like that, trees for the district. And he was with us for 20 some years, so a long time. So next thing is talking about the drill. We got 2 of these, so a lot of our drills are wore out. Everything we got, I think we got a 94 and a 97. We got one that has a small grass seed box and it has marker arms on it right now. So our Packer wheels, which are like right there, where they would start sticking up. So there's no give in the springs or anything like that. The bushings are getting wore out. So I actually went and talked to NTD, No Till Drill, out of Minnesota, and ordered all of the parts, and then they have to come and show you how to do it, or they'll install it, but it's about double what the parts, you have to almost double what the parts were. I think this was about $7,000 or $8,000. So it'd have been around 14 to 16,000 to have them install all the parts and everything. So I'm currently doing it's in our shop right now, not when it's this cold, but I started it last year. I took everything off of these ones, the back here. I knocked all the bushings out, everything like that. They have a rep that comes and they show you how to put it in. So you get your warranty, which is for 30,000 acres on all the parts that they give you, or on some of the parts, I should say. I'm putting new depth handles on there because those were starting to wear out. Putting new gauge wheels. Gauge wheels are good. Discs on, all the bushings, all the springs, Packer wheels that are shot. I mean, it's everything I could think of that needs to be replaced. And the reason for it is they're wore out. I mean, they got to be replaced after a while, but we owe it to the producers to give them the best that we can give them. We don't want to give them something that's wore out and it's only doing half the job and your seed's not getting in. Now, a lot of these are meant for grass planting. So if you're doing grass, it really doesn't affect it because they go in half an inch. But when somebody wants to borrow it to put cover crops in right at an inch, or somebody's putting wheat in or barley or rye or something like that, I want it to be a little more precise. So we're just going through and doing one this year, and then probably next year we're going to be doing the other one as I get time to do it. At least keep one of them going as I'm waiting. So we have the drill mostly, but we do also get a tractor from Titan. Titan leases another tractor. This year I get a 135. The drill work is limited to the amount of time we have in the spring. So it usually ends up being me going out there for the district and doing it. So like this last year, I cut it to like 100 acres is all I seeded for people. But when I was the watershed tech and the district tech, I mean, we used to put probably 700 acres on the drill just by seeding. I think you could still do it if we pushed it, but I'm not pushing it right now just because I don't want to just be sitting out there all day and seeding. I'd rather work on my watershed stuff. So we do them both, I guess, but mostly it's hauling it around. So these, I'm replacing all the wheels on one of them right now. They're actually really hard to find right now. So if you are looking at them, you probably want to order them if you got any tires that are pretty getting close to being wore out. So another thing is always, when you have these trees, always check it. So any equipment you should be greasing and stuff if it requires it. You know, with these, the clutch right here and the engager right here every 10 hours. So every day you should grease it. You know, if a producer uses it, even for like 2 acres, I still grease them. The other ones, like all of these ones, are once a year under there. The new stuff you get, they say you don't need to do it, but I'll still probably grease it once a year because their bushings they got, the end cap has a groove through it that allows the grease to go through it. So when you pump it, it'll squirt it out, but it won't go back in. So that's how they allow it to be like a one-time grease. I'll probably still grease them all because I like to have grease in my grills. But everything else is over 50 hours. So usually, you know, after a week or so, then you can grease. Always checking the Packer wheels or the gauge wheels, because I've had gauge wheels go off out in the field and producers don't even know and won't tell you. So you show up to the next guy and all of a sudden you're missing a wheel. So always be checking that kind of stuff. That's usually your bushings are going out or bearings are going out somewhere or something like that. So anytime you get your equipment back from a rental, just go over it and look at it and make sure everything looks right and good. Some other equipment that we've done updates on. So we do have an 8-row White's corn planter. We brought it to Central Sales and I let them kind of go through it and tell me what needs to be done because I'm not an expert on them. And we did have some of the, they actually rated it for us, like up to a 5 was it needs to be replaced now, but they had 2, 3, 4, 5. So anything that was like a 4 and a 5, we just got it fixed at that time. We still use it. We have we help seed a crop plot for the high school. So I want that to be pretty accurate. When we were doing this crop plot, we were getting seed trials. So they wanted it to be about perfect, you know, the seed agronomists do anyways, when you're putting it in. Now that guy I was working with, he's gone. So I'm probably just gonna, like this year, put barley in and then put a cover crop in or something like that. So I probably won't even use it. But the Grassland Research Center down in Streeter wants to borrow it because we do have it set that we had it modified so you can offset at 15 inches. So you can interseed 30-inch corn. So they want to actually do some more trials. They did some trials probably 5 years ago in like 2016, 17, 18. I would go down there and interseed it for them. I would seed the corn and then go and interseed the cover crop. But they just said they'll probably just borrow it from us and do it themselves. I said, that's just fine too. So I'll just haul it down there with my tractor and then drop it off. And so I wanted to have everything ready for that too. I don't want to give them something that's, you know, you got one row going in at 1 inch and one going in at 3 inch when you're trying to put it at 2 inch or something like that. So just to get everything right. And then the tree cooler, I mean, that's equipment too. So the tree cooler, I know Chad just did this too. We were talking about it. I saw it. He actually had the exact same generator or a compressor that I did. It kept cutting out once the weather would get warm. It would just shut off. Like it would heat up, or cool. And it would run. And all of a sudden it would just shut off. And then it wouldn't run for like 2 hours. But it would run really good in the spring when it was nice and cool out because it wasn't running that hard. Well, we had Heartland there, I think 4 times this last summer trying to fix it. They could never figure it out. So we actually went ahead and just replaced it. When we did replace that, then we had to replace the fans that were in the cooler also. And just so you guys know, I mean, that for us, Chad, it was a little different, but for us, it was $22,000 to put a new compressor in with fans into our tree cooler. And then this year, after tree season, we're actually going to renovate our cooler. So we're going to tear everything out inside because I do got rotting wood behind some of our paneling and stuff. So I'm going to tear all of that out and then have somebody come in and probably either replace everything and fix it up. So that we can have a cooler that's going to do what we want it to do. So be mindful of that. I know Barnes County also replaced theirs recently too, probably 2-3 years ago. So they do go out after a while and yeah. Yep. Our cooler is 24 by 36, I think. It's a pretty big cooler, so we have a pretty big cooler. So the fans that just got put in, so I had like 2 foot by 2 foot old fans, metal things. They actually had fuses right there. I actually had no ground either in my tree shed, so that's why they had to rewire everything, is because I had no ground in our shed and everything like that. So it was built in the 60s and yeah, it stayed that way evidently. So The fans I got now are probably 5 foot by like 18 inches, and I got 2 of them. So there's like one, and they're like, 4 fans in each one. So it should be plenty to push that cool air around and everything like that. And then I plan on doing water, hopefully to do some water irrigation onto it. So put a sprinkler system that will go right at the roots. So when we set the trees in there, I'll put a little spigot right at each root there or whatever, or nozzle, and then spray onto it. So I've seen some other districts do that. So I got Shelly's just asking, Vetter's asking a question. Were you able to get a tractor from Titan? We were told by our local Titan that the program was not available this year. We currently were able to. So last year it was really hard to get a tractor because they were behind on builds, but this year he put it in right away, and he said they're already at Titan waiting for us, which last year I didn't get one tractor until July, which really doesn't help me out until the fall planting. But he said that mine are sitting there ready to go whenever I want to go pick them up. So yes, I was able to get them. And I do know every dealership is different. So some will allow to do it and some don't allow to do it the way it sounds. We did talk to, this wasn't me, this was back when the other coordinator was there, but we have 3 dealerships tractors. So we got Central Sales, John Deere, and Titan. Titan did the program. Central Sales was going to do it. I think they gave us a tractor 1 year and that was it. And then John Deere wouldn't do a leasing program or nothing like that. So, but yeah, we were still able to put ours on, I guess. I guess that's all I had. Like I said, if that compressor is starting to cut out, if you can't get it fixed, I would get it replaced because you're going to lose trees. I mean, we walked in there one day and it was 50 degrees and I'm like, oh my goodness. So after that, when the tree crew was out, I would go over there every 2 hours and turn the cooler on just to make sure it kept it down, which was a heck of a time commitment. Then you'd sit there and wait for it to cut itself out, and then I would shut it back down, and then 2 hours later come back and do it. So at night, at least it would get a little bit cooler. So I think with that, Chad's going to come up and talk about what they did on their updating a little bit. I'm going to switch PowerPoints here, guys. So just a second. Or is it this auto steer one, or is it the fabric? Auto steer. Did I get the right one on that one? Did I do the wrong one? Oh, this is the auto steer one. Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay. I'll flip that around and I'll just do, I'll do this. Oh, okay. If you want. I don't know why it's not switching on there for you. So. Yeah, it's working. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just kind of add kind of what Dustin said. We upgraded our vehicles a few years ago. I think 17. Our pickups that we use to haul, I don't have pictures of any of that. Kind of just winging it. So anyway, we got we did do bids like Dustin did, and basically the only place that would get back to us was Pucklich. We tried 4 different places, and basically because we were government, they wanted nothing to do with us. So left messages, stopped into a few dealerships, and they nothing. So we ended up getting a tonner from a 17 gas tonner from Pucklich in 17, and then this spring actually blew the transmission up. Apparently you can't just dump 5 gallons of transmission fluid in a transmission. They won't take that. So it wasn't me, but it that happened. I had no idea that they were just broke down on the side of the road one day and called me, and then said, oh yeah, it's been low on transmission fluid for like the last 3 weeks. They just kept dumping it in. So basically they blew it up. Anyway, so things like that happen. And then we also got a 3/4 ton Chevy from Pucklich, again, had the same issues, and that's a 19. So we hadn't upgraded vehicles for probably, I don't know, I think our fabric truck was like a 1996, I think. 3/4 ton, and then it was a stick shift. It still worked good, but it just didn't have the power to pull around the big trailer and everything. And so, and then majority of the people that we would hire, they couldn't drive stick shift anyway, so it was time to upgrade. And then also the tree cooler, like Dustin mentioned, that we had to upgrade ours. We had the same exact issue. If the spring, like last year was actually pretty decent, because we had a cool spring. It actually worked pretty well. But the 2 years previous, it was like 90 degrees in May, and the cooler would the compressor itself would actually jump around on the floor because it was kicking on and kicking off so many times. So yeah, come in from the weekend or come in Monday morning and walk into the cooler, and it's 45 degrees in there, and it's not a good thing when you have that dollar amount and that's your main revenue. You can't chance it. So we did upgrade. It was a bit more than price wise than we wanted to, but it had to be done. So, and the cooler that we replaced was probably from, I don't know, the 60s. Nobody could work on it anymore. We'd call, the guy had been working on it for the past probably 25, 30 years. He passed away, and he was like the only guy that knew how to work on it in Bismarck. So it was time. So anyway, that is just finishing up. It's probably done this week, I would imagine. Okay, and that's pretty much it for like the equipment stuff. And then I'll just get into the GPS.
They put new fans in for you guys too, right?
Everything,
Yeah.
yeah, fans, compressor, everything, new lines. And then the other thing they changed is that our compressor was in the building. And now the newer compressor is on a slab behind the building outside. So they thought that would really help efficiency wise. So I'll get into the GPS. So you can see here, I had some of the same slides yesterday, but so this is what GPS, like how, I guess how straight you can get them. It's pretty simple. I mean, it looks really complicated. There's a lot of screens on there, or a lot of things to do on that screen. Once you get it hooked up on a tractor, it can be very intimidating to figure out. But I don't know, once you mess with it a few times and you get just the basic things that you need to do, it's actually really simple. It's like you show up on the site and you can just hit a couple buttons and you're off. And I did notice that with our workforce in the spring, a lot of times, if they are younger, they tend to catch on to it a lot easier. I know to them, like when I ask them if they got it, sometimes it's like 15 minutes and it's like a video game to them. So that is one thing.
So I have a question with GPS.
Okay.
Stuff like, is it all kind of the same or is it different grades? I mean, I don't really know anything about it, but I mean, let's see, how do I even say this? Like, what is short of me say? I mean, I got a GPS for my vehicle, let's
Sure.
say, versus what you have on a tractor. I mean, is there differences in the accuracy?
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's the biggest part of that is Daryl, my predecessor, probably would have had GPS, but you couldn't drive slow enough or they weren't accurate enough. So our tractors go so slow that that was the big issue, because if you're going 1 mile an hour, you're going to be off. You could be 2-3 feet off, where this is like they're so accurate now, and so that's the main thing.
I think JD talks about it in the presentation last year you guys put together. He says that if he gets down below 1 mile per hour, it starts kicking around really bad. So he doesn't use it for fabric, he said, I think.
Yep, and if I remember right, yeah, he said he can't use it for fabric.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't know if I wouldn't say not quite as accurate, but it's just, yeah.
Yeah, once like they start tracking so hard, then you start getting this.
So
That's like, this means,
built in a tractor or is it something you can install?
Yep.
Yeah, you can upgrade a tractor. Like our tractors are probably from like the, I don't know when they got them, probably like early 2000s or something. And then so we have the identical tractors, one's a fabric one, one's for trees. And so we put it on the tree tractor. You can.
You said everything.
Our producers told us when we went by.
Oh, that would be.
That'd be tricky.
It would be.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and then JD's is also his was a case, where ours
Yeah.
is John Deere.
Had producers with the GPS. It saves a lot of time. It's pretty.
Sure, yeah. If you figure, and I'll kind of talk a little bit about that, but
Just, yeah. Did you buy the more expensive GPS subscription or just the one that comes with the GPS?
we have the, I think I have it. Get to that one. So we have, yeah, this is what we bought. It's a Starfire and then the steering wheel and then the Green Stars, and then, we did, I don't know, maybe I have it on here. Maybe not. We did a one-time, prescription. Is that right? Subscription. Yeah, subscription. It's just a one-time deal, and I don't know, I guess, JD could probably answer those if he went the case route, but I think he does a yearly.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
But you have to purchase all three of these things.
yeah, they're all separate.
Yeah.
And do they
Thanks.
always work? Like, do you ever lose?
So the first year we had it, we had issues. There was, whether it was a time of day, I think we had, and John Deere was really good. They were really good about coming out, initially. If we had issues and it was like the satellites were a certain height in the sky or whatever, and they couldn't connect right, or it would just kick out sometimes, and it would be kind of a pain in the butt. But once you got it working, they're usually really good. Or they would just say they would I don't know, kind of restart it, and punch in some numbers and stuff, and we could do some stuff over the phone. But it was very rare. It wasn't like every day. It was like maybe, it's a month of planting and maybe we had them come out 2-3 times. And it was usually within an hour we were going again. So it wasn't like it was a whole day lost.
Right, but like, I mean, it's like, it's hard to do. Like, my cell phone doesn't work in half of the spots where we're planting. I mean, is this accessing different technology?
Yes, yeah.
So
yeah.
that it's, okay.
Yeah, because back in the, I don't know, quite a few years ago, like you could, with sprayers and stuff out for crop fields, you could get like a pack that you paid some money for, and you set it on the edge of the field that you were in, or in a certain area, and then that would pull it all in and then shoot it to your sprayer or your tractor or whatever, and then you had a stronger signal. The way I understand it is that's past, where our technology is a lot better, the satellites are better or whatever, it's better. And then I think, yeah, years ago, before this, but there was issues if you were in a really treed area and it couldn't connect with the satellite or something, or was in the way of the globe, you had issues. But I don't, as far as I know, we haven't really ran into that. Okay, that's the technology. Right.
You're most likely running on that. It's pretty safe.
Yes. Yeah, it was a one-time subscription, and then, yeah. Let's see. Okay, curves. This is a lot of people ask that, like, how do you do curves? With straight lines, it's pretty much just an A/B. You stake one row, and then from that one row, you set on the screen, you set 16-foot spacing, 18-foot, whatever it is, and it'll just keep going indefinitely. And then so you can do like a curve. Basically for this, I staked this inside row. Basically, I just walked along that. That's obviously a low area there. I just walked along it, and then put stakes every so often. Or you could just put your one wheel on the edge and just drive around it. And then it just copies what you drove. And then, so the rest of them, so like I said, I just stake the one row and then the rest, it just does it. Okay, I guess this was a horror story. That the fabric crew, it was too wet. You can see this low area in here. They probably could have did some of the rows, but I got the phone call that said that it was too wet. We got to come back. And I was busy doing something. And I said, okay, well, it was weeks later and this was clean when we planted the trees, and there are trees in here. So it's like, what do you do? So, and you can see this is the same planting. It's this planting. And so, so to go through there and walk the row and weed around each tree would have taken, I don't know how long. I mean, it would have been absolutely horrendous. But so what we did was we hooked a rototiller up to the tree tractor, and then you save these sites in there. So on the screen, you have the name of the producer. And then, so if you ever come back there, if they want to add rows or whatever, like we used for this, basically punched out in when we got back there with the rototiller, and then you can offset it. So I figured out how far away, the way the rototiller was set up behind the tractor, and offset it. And I don't know if this will work, but you can see, well, you can't see any trees in there, it's just weeds, but if this video will work here. Yeah. So I mean, like, and then some of these, there was like some of the trees were like this big that we planted, so there's absolutely no way. But you can see there's, I think there's crab apples. There's one there. And then you can look, and so I'm not driving. The auto steer's doing everything. So there's a tree back there, and it's just hooking. I think that's a tree. Anyway, so you drive up one side, and then we turn around and went back on the other side of them. And you can just, so it remembered the curves, it knew the planting, but you just offset it, and then you hit the button, and then it's like, okay, this is my row. And then did the same thing on the other side. And so this is where we tilled, and then this is just weeds that were in between. So that's how it ended up. And then you can see there's a little strip there, and that was easy enough to find the trees in there. So, I mean, I don't know what we would have done if we wouldn't have had this. I mean, the manpower that it would have taken. So, I mean, I never like to admit to my screw ups, but I mean, it worked out in the end. So, yeah. And I guess, I don't know, that's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much all I had for slides and for GPS. Yes, it was expensive, but was it worth it? Probably not. It's probably not going to pay for itself the first 5 years, but I would say within 10 years, for the amount of time for staking, like for me to stake this alone, you know, it would have taken, I'd probably been there for days, where instead of just showing up with the tree planter and marking out the first row, and then we're planting. So it frees up time to do other stuff, and so you save money, but it's not like, oh, it's going to pay for itself right away. It's over time, it will. So I guess that's
the part of the school districts in the same boat, like a trailer roll, a tractor roll, our fabric machine, our planter, like everything needs at this point, essentially. So where do you start? You obviously don't have unlimited funds, excuse me.
what
Unlimited funds, and like we only do trees. So we have like one revenue stream essentially. Grant programs and whatnot.
Yeah, we didn't decide that year that we're getting a tree planter or we're getting a GPS or a pickup or whatever. This was years ahead. Like even the cooler, I knew 3 years ago that the cooler had to be replaced. So it's basically you talk to the board and you put it in your budget, and then you put that money aside or whatever, so it's in the budget, ahead of time, so that when it comes time, you're like, okay, now we can go get this.
Yeah, we did like a 6-year plan, I think, budget plan is what we ended up doing for like our updates to our buildings and our pickups and stuff like that. And our commission, because we went in and asked for a mill levy on it and stuff like that, but they asked for that, so they wanted to know. I don't know if we had to give it to them or not, but why not let them know what our plan was to do for the 6 years? So that was we're in the second year of like doing our updates and stuff like that. So, I mean, the first year we did the pickup just because we needed a new pickup. So when we got those funds, we went and had our pickup, like we knew which pickup we were getting and stuff like that, but yeah, definitely. So yeah, if you're looking at, if you're looking at updating that stuff, and if I'm just gonna say, if you are gonna go to Trees or Rust, make sure your tractor is big enough to do it and has the weight on it. If not, then you're gonna have to upgrade the tractor and the bolt, you can't. Yeah, and then you're gonna need that too, yes. So you might have to just create enough for, say $100,000, and then that's when you can go buy your trailer, your pickup, and your, say, fabric machine. The what?
Fabric. I know when we bought
That fabric machine is 16,000 something right now. I looked on their site here the other day, so the tree planter is 8,000 something. So. Yeah, I mean. So it depends, because a 50 horse tractor can pull that, but I just didn't have the weight on my little tractor, and that tractor only pulled, I think, 38 or something like that. So it's a little tractor, but yeah, it depends on what you have, and I don't know how many sites you got up there, but if maybe that year you don't have a lot of sites and you don't need a trailer yet, because I know some districts drive to all their sites with their tractors, that's another option too. So
We have weight on the front of our fabric machine.
Yeah.
Our tractor.
and like I said, that's why I got a loader, is just because that adds my weight to my tractor. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, and when we went to, and Chad talked about the fabric machine yesterday a lot more in detail, but I mean, it took a little bit of work for me to figure out where to set things. I went out there a whole afternoon with the crew and drove around and just let them drive, and I was trying to assess. So they are, I mean, there's people out there that can help you quicker than that. I should have asked Chad or JD or somebody that had one ahead of time, but we ended up figuring it out and knew, but so there is some tweaking on those too when you do get the new stuff. So, but yeah, just budget it for like a few years and then start with something. Maybe get a new pickup first if that's what you need, and then maybe do a bigger trailer, and then you can do the other stuff or something. So, any other questions? If not, does anybody else got any updating? This is district led, so if there's any other updating stuff, anybody that they did or want to talk about, they can do so. Like I said, it can be like a rabbit hole. I mean, once you start, things all of a sudden can start going. So you gotta just stay on top of things and pick them up before they get broken too far. So.
A lot of this we do some planting that you guys own, that's what we sort of a lot of other things to make on that. Like what we have. I think that's all of them for some. So our supervisors are a lot more into looking at those, no-till drills, going through ag seed and farm seed for us. So it's not like anything they're opposed to, but just, really knowing like, make a 6-year plan. Or do something like that, because obviously.
Just know what your revenues are at the end of the year, so you can budget for that too. I'm just gonna go on the drills. So we've had both the drills. We've had a Truax and a John Deere no-till. We sold the Truax, and just got another John Deere because we had trouble with that Truax. It works. It's a good drill for somebody that's constantly using it, maybe. But when you're trying to deliver it to a producer, we had trouble with it, trying to explain to them what to do, and how to run it if something happened. With a no-till, John Deere's are a lot simpler, but they are way more. I mean, I think we paid, way too much still for the ones we paid for, but they're worth it in the end. Like they will make themselves money, like ours do in our county, like we get about 1,400 acres every year on those 2 drills. Some years we've had 2,400, was the highest, I think, about 4 years ago, so it will, people like them.
Fish help us find out.
Yep, yeah, there's other grant services out there too that helps. So, yeah,
That's right.
or hey, that, yeah, I've heard of that too.
We got a Truax for our office.
Yeah, you guys got the fast, one or whatever.
We got A-bus. I mean, with any recommendations, I mean, we use it a lot, obviously, for the whole plant preparation. Producers will also take it and see it for themselves or anything. I mean, yeah, we got a video online that Ryan did before I got there.
So usually when I had
Is there
the,
anything else?
yeah, when I had the Truax, like I had to set it for them out in the field and had everything ready to go for them. So they didn't have to set it because you just spin the tire 26.5 times or whatever it was and divide it by 3 and multiply by 2, I think, if I remember right. I'm not 100% sure. Is that right? You're shaking your
No,
head.
I
Oh,
say.
okay.
If they, I'm
Yeah.
like,
Right,
Yeah.
well, let's just say too, like, Ryan. It's online. And not-
Well, most of them have cell phones now.
Oh, right. Within reason, too, I mean, take the time to go out and do that, or do you just say, hey? here's the
I guess we did. We took the time.
binder.
John Deere's are a little,
We've got the book.
John Deere's are a little tougher. Because you can't calibrate them like you can the Truaxes. So if you're doing grass seed and stuff like that, you can do it with the John Deere's. We recommend adding a carrier with it, otherwise it doesn't flow through your drill really well. But after so many grass seeds, they're usually pretty close within like 5 settings, so you can get them really close when they start and just tell them to watch it after 5 acres and see how much you've done.
I'm just gonna reiterate, obviously, I'm not a district there, you can see county state nursery, but I can't emphasize the importance of having a plan, but also having priorities, because the people that pull the purse strings, they're gonna wanna see that, and that's how it is for us. We recognized in the late 1990s, not, remember Roy LaFrance, that we were gonna have a major shortage of labor. So we started a mechanization plan back in 1999. We still use it to this day. We didn't have a dime to do any of that because we had a plan and we had priorities that we updated. We've been able to leverage over $700,000 in new equipment and $1.9 million building the capital. Having a plan, I know it sounds like it's lip service, but it's really important to have to help you project down the road when you need to replace this. How can you mechanize things to reduce labor, things like that, making the work more safe, making it more comfortable for your employees? I don't think it's into what we talked about with the pension.
Finally upgraded our pony drill last year, so it's 6 3-point drill that we use to plant grass between 3 rows.
You don't offer that anymore, or did you get? Or did you
We
get
had a,
something
we had a
more?
little John Deere pony drill of
Yeah.
7 foot. And 50s or 60s. Someone welded a bracket on the front, so it was a 3-point instead of a wide. Thing built like a tank and got rid of that. And we bought a brilliant Titanium. It just got the big rollers on it. Interceder,
It's a 6-foot one.
6 foot one. Boy, that thing, really nicer.
And I know like another county, they got a 6-foot drill too, and they were doing grass seeding in between trees. And they did 2 mixes, and that's all you got. You got a non-native and a native mix, and you got the choice of either one, because then he had the 2 settings set for it, and he could just go out and do it. So that might be something to think about to make it easier. Don't let them choose their mixes. You have them preset and you just buy what they need, the 2 acres worth or something like that. Makes it a little easier for the the worker to go out there and do it, so. Might be some smooth going in there, you never know, so. So if not, I guess I will stop this one, and there is a ice cream social here, so everybody online, we'll see you at 3:45.